Clearly, they still have some unresolved tension.
Nick Cannon and Eminem have one of the rap's longest-standing feuds. Their beef centers around their respective relationships with Mariah Carey, and the reason why it all started in the first place is honestly pretty insane. Trust me, this story will leave you speechless. Nick was married to Mariah from 2008 to 2016, and Eminem claims that he dated Mariah for about 6 months in 2002. Mariah completely denies Eminem's claims, saying that they were never in any way intimate and that the most she's done is hang out with him a few times. Because of their differing accounts of the nature of their relationship, Eminem and Mariah didn't get along very well for the first half of the 2000s. They even addressed each other a few times in verse, the first being on Eminem's 2002 song Superman. On Superman, Eminem raps, "What, you're trying to be my new wife? What, you Mariah, fly through twice," referencing his claim that Mariah would fly on her private jet to see him. Mariah seemed to respond with a track later that year titled Clown. She's saying, "You should have never intimated we were lovers when you know very well we never even touched each other." She even responded directly to the private jet claim, singing, "Taking my G5 20 minutes wasn't nothing, but I guess you wouldn't know, that's the way I roll. Consequently, now your ego's fully overblown." She essentially said that flying to someone in her private jet was common for her. It didn't mean they were dating or anything like that. In 2009, things escalated and the tension between Eminem and Mariah turned into a full-blown beef between Eminem and Nick. That year, Eminem dropped the song Bagpipes from Baghdad, in which he addressed the freshly married Nick and Mariah directly. He asked Mariah why they broke up and told Nick to back off because he wanted Mariah back. He also threatened to kick Nick where no man wants to be kicked and called Mariah some pretty nasty words. When Nick heard the song, he was furious. He made his feelings known in a threatening Tumblr post. He wrote that he didn't know why no one had stood up to Eminem before and that he would be relentless in coming after him. He said that dealing with Eminem was his new full-time job. In an attempt to get him canceled before cancel culture even existed, Nick called him a racist and brought attention to some old mixtapes of Eminem's in which he used the N-word and said that he hated black women. Nick also questioned whether he should find Eminem and beat him up, and invited him to meet him without bodyguards anytime and any place to settle their dispute. Mariah seemed to respond as well with a track released a month later titled Obsessed. The song had a very similar theme to Clown. She sang about a man who was obsessed with her and lying about having been with her, and the music video featured a stalker dressed up like Eminem, making it even clearer that the song was about him. But Nick's and Mariah's responses to Bagpipes and Baghdad didn't discourage Eminem. In fact, they only egged him on more. He wrote a whole new diss track titled The Warning that he put out the next month. It was mostly about Mariah, but he had some shots for Nick too. He started the record by saying that the only reason he never mentioned Mariah on a song in the first place was because she denied being with him, and that after Obsessed, he was officially pissed off. In The Warning he issued, just with the title Promise, a warning. He threatened Mariah that if she didn't stop lying, he would release recordings of phone calls between them and intimate pictures he had of her. In case Mariah didn't believe he would do that, he wove snippets of recordings of her voice throughout the end of the song, including one that said "I love you" and one that said "I want you." Eminem came after Nick too, asking if Nick seriously thought that he was scared of him and telling him that he wanted to ruin Eminem's career. He would have to have his own first. It seemed like Mariah listened to The Warning once and decided that she was done with the beef because she never released another song aimed at Eminem. She apparently had no desire to call his bluff. Nick, on the other hand, didn't want to let up. He decided to get in on the diss track battle and made his own song the next year titled I'm a Slick Rick that called out Eminem. He referenced Mariah's 2002 song, saying that Eminem was a clown. He claimed that Eminem was feminine and suffered from performance issues in the bedroom. He also said that Eminem was scared when he saw Nick at the BET Awards, and he asked Eminem why he was lying about having been with Mariah. Overall, it was a bold move from Nick. Most of the best rappers in the game wouldn't dare put out a diss track about Eminem, who was widely considered one of the greatest diss writers of all time. Dissing Eminem is basically asking to be torn apart lyrically. Not to mention, Nick was risking making Eminem mad enough to release the recordings of Mariah that he claimed he had. I wonder if Mariah approved Nick's decision given the threats Eminem had made. But despite the risk Nick was taking, Eminem didn't do anything crazy. He actually didn't even respond to I Am a Slick Rick. Maybe because he didn't consider the writing and delivery to be good enough to even warrant a response from an artist of his caliber. While Nick had released some music previously, he was much more of a TV personality than a rapper, and I'm a Slick Rick definitely wasn't a lyrical masterpiece. Around the time he released the song, Nick also challenged Eminem to a boxing match. He apparently wasn't content with selling their differences musically, he wanted to let their fists do the talking. But just like with the song, Eminem didn't respond to the call for a fight. With Mariah not responding to Eminem and Eminem not responding to Nick, the feud lost steam for a while. Within a few years, all parties seemed to be on better terms. At the very least, they weren't actively taking shots at each other anymore. Nick even invited Eminem to be a guest on his show in 2016, though the same year he also said that he would still be willing to step into a boxing ring with him. In 2019, Nick decided to talk about his beef with Eminem on T.I.'s podcast. He revealed that he really wanted to fight Eminem during the height of the feud. He said that he felt the need to show Mariah that he was a man and went looking for Eminem to beat him up, though he never did manage to throw hands like he wanted to. But it seemed like Nick's conversation with T.I. may have dug up some old feelings for Eminem, because a few months later, 9 years after the beef was at its peak, he decided to write a new diss track about Nick and Mariah, even though they were divorced by that point. Eminem featured on Fat Joe's song Lord Above, and he included a few lines about his old rivals. He said that Nick was whipped by Mariah and that it was ridiculous that he kept saying that he wanted to fight Eminem. He claimed that Nick could never back up his words, but what happened next was crazy. Not even a month later, Nick dropped not one, not two, but 3 diss tracks at Eminem's expense. But yet again, Eminem didn't respond to a single one of them, and a lot of people thought that it was because the tracks were so bad they didn't deserve an acknowledgement. The YouTube comments for the song were hilarious, with many people saying that Eminem won the battle without even responding. A few years later, Nick admitted that he might have gone a little overboard by releasing 3 whole songs. According to Nick, the feud is now over, but not because either of them won. Apparently, Fat Joe got both of them on his show at the same time and told them that the fighting had to stop. Nick said that Fat Joe convinced them, and he gave a shout out to Eminem. So it seems like their feud might finally be over. But what do you guys think? Was Eminem out of line with his many disses about Nick and Mariah? Was Nick right for defending Mariah? Let me know in the comments below.